Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma. Trust your day is going well or has been very good. So we'll just wait till 8:05 to allow others to join. Okay, so good evening once more. Hope we had a good day and it wasn't quite stressful. So I'll try to keep it short today, but let's see how far we can go. So I said I will put up a slide on BCG. So we'll have a proper understanding of the BCG metric and how we can utilize it in making certain decisions. Okay, so now let's first of all try to understand what this BCG matrix is all about. Then we'll try to understand its applicability into one decision making, mostly into the products and service that we export, mostly product that we export out there to foreign markets. So now, so this is the diagram for the BCG matrix. where it looks at the market growth rate and the market share. So one can look at the market growth rate and market share of a country before deciding which country to enter or which country the product will serve or how the product is doing in the market. So one might not know until one enters, and one might know before entering. So it depends on the situation. So we have the question mark, we have the star, we have the cash cow, and we have the pro dog. The dog that is actually, the one suffering. It's the one suffering, I mean. It's the dog that is actually suffering. Okay, so let's look at the definition of all these terminologies. So we'll start with cash cow. We'll try to understand cash cow. We'll try to understand star. Then we'll try to understand question mark and dog. Okay, so from this definition that I put up here is saying that cash cows are the products with high market share in a slow growing industry. This business unit typically generates more cash than what is needed to maintain them. So from what we can see here, you can see that there is high beside the market share. So it's trying to say that the market share is high, but the growth rate is slow. So meaning that there are less people that are actually in that market. It's quite the industry is growing, so it's not highly saturated, and they are actually when you talk about market share, that means they have a lot of clients, lot of people in that market, and that market is able to that product is able to penetrate through that particular country, and is meeting the needs of the client. So people are buying the product, people are enjoying the product, and you do have a lot of competitors in that environment. You don't have lots of competitors, so it's just moving steadily as you are earning the money. So it is not highly saturated. Let me put it that way. So you're saying that because they need to be in more matured markets, cash cow are more boring. Why boring? Because they are valuable due to the cash generating ability. So you don't have much competitors to challenge you or do anything. So that's why this particular person that brought out a definition wrote boring. So let's continue. So they should continue being milked with as little investment as possible, given the additional time, capital, effort, given that additional time, capital, effort wouldn't yield much in low growing industry. So here is trying to say that for cash cow, you don't have to invest too much, but you get high returns. So the investment is quite little. Your investment is not much because that product is in high demand or is of high demand. So people are really demanding for the product and it's really needed in that market. And at the same time, the market is not highly saturated. So there are some products that you don't have too much competitors that are really, competing against your company, and you are also earning the money at the same time. You are really earning the money. So that is what cash cow is. Even while earning the money, you're not putting too much. When you talk about investment, you can talk about your advert. You're not putting too much effort on advert as you expect it to be. Your effort is more on packaging if it's required, and it might not be on packaging, it can be on adverts or it can be on brochure. It depends on the kind of client that you are. So the investment is not too much. The advertising cost is not high. Even the distribution cost is not high. So it can be, you might have this distribution channel that is just from the manufacturer to the customer direct. So you don't have intermediaries to stress you. Or manufacturer to agent and customer. So you don't have too many intermediaries involved. It can be agent, it can be distributor, it can be wholesaler. I'm not sure it's going to be retailer. So it can be distributor, but it's just one channel that is involved. You don't have multiple channels involved in the distribution of one's product. So it's quite easy to distribute your product. It's quite easy to, distribute your product. You don't have to spend too much on adverts, but you are putting too much on procure to distribute to customers, and if possible online if there is a need for them to know more about the company. That is the website and the rest. So the investment is quite low, even if there is advert, but it's not the kind of adverts that other companies will have to spend heavily on, if at all there is an advert. So that is for cash cow. So we're also going to look at the applicability when after understanding these terminologies. So the next one is star. So star here is saying that the stars are business units with both high market share and high growth industry. Okay, so let's go back. So this is the star. So the star here, the market share is high and the growth rate is also high. So it's not like cash cow that market share is high and the growth rate is low. So that's why it's called a star. The market share is high. Then the industry growth is also high, is increasing. Competitors are coming in, it's getting to the saturation point, but not up to the saturation point. But people are recognizing that industry to be, industry to tap into and the rest. So you're saying that they did a niche or a market and have monopolistic qualities due to the dominant competitive advantage of fortuitous timing. So that is why it's that. So what Steyer is saying that they have clients, they're able to penetrate through the market. The market is demanding, they're really demanding the product, but you have to keep, investing into that market if you want to, get the best from that market. You have to keep investing. It can be in terms of distribution, it can be in terms of the promotional activities, it can be in terms of the product packaging, the designs, and the rest. So you're really investing, in terms of the management, the personnel, you're really investing to ensure that everything goes smoothly while you're earning the money. So one have to, keep watching out and engaging in research, continuous research. You have to keep spending money on research to know what is going on, to know your customers, to know your market. And so you're saying that as the stars continue to boom, that additional investment generates excess cash, making star extremely valuable product for a company. So one have to keep investing to also earn that money. So you have to keep investing in advert, in product packaging, design, put more money in the distribution channels, have more vehicles to make sure products are readily available and the rest. So that's what cash cow is all about. So one have to, keep investing, but that investment will surely yield to high sales. That is for star. So that investment will surely yield to sales. You are investing to maintain loyalty. You are investing more to maintain brand loyalty, to improve on your customer satisfaction level. You don't want your customer to switch easily to another competitor. So one has to keep engaging while earning the money. So yeah, the hope is that eventually the industry rate dies down and star becomes cash cow. So there's some people that want, they don't want to spend too much, but they want to earn the money. So hoping that this market that is really doing well can become a cash cow whereby they don't have to invest so much, but they are earning that money. So that is for the star. So now let's look at the next one. That is question mark. And question mark here is saying that these question marks are the business units operating in low market share and a high growth market. Okay, so let's look at this. So this is question mark. The growth rate is high, but the market share is very, very low. That's for question mark. The market share is very low. So you're saying that these products tend to reduce a company's cash flow initially because they require heavy investment to grow. So in this kind of situation, the market share is low. So meaning that the company has not really penetrated, meaning that there are a lot of competitors in that market and the market growth rate is high. So there are a lot of competitors in that market. So they have to, invest in that market, but because of the competition and because of kind of the peculiarity of that market, they just have to invest in terms of advertisement, distribution, product design, packaging, and all that just to keep that product readily available and increase the product awareness to the target market. But the market share is low. So low market share means that there are a lot of competitors in that market. So one have to keep striving to gain part of that market. One have to keep driving to gain part of that market. So here is saying that if the unit performs well, question mark has a chance to become star and eventually into cash cow once the industry grows its clients. So as a company keep investing, they are hoping that their market share will expand and it will increase. So when the market share expand and increase, it can become a star. Let me take us back. So if they keep investing, they're really pumping money, they're really trying their best. So if they keep doing that, they are hoping that the question mark will move to star. They're hoping that it will move to star, where they have high growth rate and also high market share, that investment cannot drop. So it's the expectation that the market share will increase at the same time if they keep pushing forward, if they keep moving forward. They are hoping that, in the next few years, in the next 5 years, that the market will, their market share will increase at the same time. So that is the expectation with question mark. But here is saying that if the product fails to gain traction, question mark can become a dog or becomes a dog. We'll look at dog. Question mark must be analyzed thoroughly and carefully to determine whether they are worth the investment required to grow a market share. In the last class, I mentioned that if this market has the potential to become better in the next 5 years or in the next few years, then it can be a question mark because it has that potential to grow. But if that market does not have potential to become better in the future, then one have to be careful for making that decision. So that is for question mark. So now let's look at the last one, which is dog. So dog here is saying that dogs are the least favorable in the BCG matrix and a business unit with low market share in a mature and slow growing industry. So let's look at the dog pattern. So here is saying that the market share is low and the growth rate is also low. As in the growth is not really growing and market share is also low. So as I said for market share, the market share is low because there are a lot of people, meaning there are a lot of competitors in that market. So that is why when you say market share is low, so meaning that there are a lot of people in the market and there are a lot of competitors' products in that market. So then to that, they are striving to make their products known to the customer. So, and that is where you hear the market is saturated. So meaning that there are a lot of people in the market that are struggling for customers to recognize their product. So if 50% or if 3%, if 3 out of 10 customers, let me put it another way, if you have like 10 markets in a particular district and you're only selling your product in 3 out of 10, so that means your product is accessible, your product is known in 3 out of 10. So I mean that your people can only 3%, or your product is, you only own 3% of the market. Let me put it that way. And that 3%, for those I want to, this one is just basic analysis. For those I want to analyze it, they will still reanalyze that 3% to know whether your product is actually being sold or is stocked in their warehouse, because that is the main market share. You want to know whether they actually sold the product or they just kept it in the warehouse and it's moving gradually. That is the part B of understanding market share properly. But surface, you want to know at least what is my presence level. So it's the presence level I'm explaining now. So meaning that 3 out of 10, your product is known in 3 places or in 3 areas out of 10 in that particular district. So you just own 3% of that territory, that is of that market. And the remaining 7 is owned by others. But if you keep struggling, let me don't use the word struggle, you keep thriving to move the products, then you can maybe make it 5. So you own 5 out of the 10 areas in that district, then the remaining 5 is on. So that 5 shows that you dominate the market to an extent. So people really know your product. But out of that 5, are people actually buying the product, or they're just ordering for safekeeping, meaning they're just ordering to have in their store so that when people ask for the product, it to be readily available? Because that is what companies will actually analyze. All these audit companies, they will actually analyze what was being sold, not the district that you own. The district you own is one, then the product being sold in those districts is what they actually measure to understand market share. So there's a way they go about their tracing of market share. They start from the agent and distributor that they give the product out, and so they trace it all to the last unit. So that is how they're able to know who owns the market, who dominate the market, who are the leaders, who are the followers, who are the niches, and the rest. So that's how they'll know. So Doug here is saying that the market is actually matured and is slow growing because there are a lot of competitors. Everybody's struggling to enter the market. Everybody's really struggling to enter the market. The market share is low and the industry too is slow. So you're actually striving, the company is striving to grow in that particular market. So here I say that these products are seen to have little future with your company and typically even break even. They find it difficult to break even. They generate, typically either they break even or generate very little cash or even reduce a company's cash flow. So this kind of analysis products that companies tend to fall on experience, that means they're experiencing a dog. So they are struggling to keep to sell in that particular market. Though these products provide employee jobs and possibly result in revenue or cost synergies, the opportunity cost for utilizing resources for other favorable products is too high. So dog should therefore be divested or sold into another company. So it's either you move dog elsewhere or the dog cannot maintain that same market. That is the same market, which can be seen as country. Same market, you can also look at it as there's no need for you to leave that product in the same country because you are trying, or the person is trying to, maintain a stance in the country. So that is what the BCG matrix is all about. So now I said we'll look at its applicability within the agribusiness because we've just mentioned the what do you call it? We've just looked at the terminologies for dog and the rest. So now looking at its applicability, when we talk about which one did I start with? I started with cash cow. Cash cow. So when you're talking about cash cow, you're looking at how one can generate like a stable income, and the market growth rate is quite slow. So meaning that there are not too much investors in that, competitors in that market. The economy is doing fine, but it's not, highly saturated and the rest. So, for example, now, so what to do in that particular area if one has a product like maybe a rice mill, you have like poultry feed, I mean. So you might have like a dominant brand, a brand that is known in that particular market. It can be like a poultry feed in that market that you are selling in that particular market, or it can be that you're a major supplier, you supply maize in that particular region, or you have like a rice mill in that particular region. So people are really ordering, they're using your meal, they're ordering maize, wheat, poultry feed, it can be chemicals and others. So now in this kind of cash cow, we'll still look at it again. So we'll look at what to do in this particular area, but let me just mention a few, what to do. So in this kind of area, one just have to, keep to maintain the market share and either increase the market share. So one can, maintain the market share. One can, maximize efficiency in that area, ensure that the company does not reduce its operation. So don't reduce your service, don't reduce the efficiency in the company, don't reduce the kind of service, customer service. So meaning that everything, the company keeps improving day by day. The company keeps improving. The productivity level is on track. There's no one or two excuses when they receive customers' demand and the rest. So one have to ensure that the operation of the company is, stable, very much stable. At the same time, cash cow is what some company use to fund their staff, because star is quite expensive, or to fund question mark two is quite expensive. So they tend to use cash cow to fund the star with expectation that question mark will become a star one day, and star will also become cash cow one day. But if star does not become a cash cow, it's still doing fine. It's just that the investment can be quite high. So the same thing with star. The same thing with Star. Looking at Star, high market share and high growth rate. So meaning that they have to keep investing in maintaining that stance as the leading producer. They have to, maintain that stance as a large scale exporter for that particular product, whether it's in avocado or vegetables or meats or whatever product that is within there. One have to, maintain that position of being the leading producer, because that is what makes Star more reasonable, or maintain position of being a large scale producer. And that large scale producer is also benefiting like global demand. Like one can expand into that area that you can, produce not only in one country, another country that falls under Star. So one has that capability to do that and also become a top regional supplier. So one have to maintain that particular stance for Star. So that is for products that falls under Star, or companies that falls under Star. One just have to maintain the stance, because if one drops, the person can go to become a question mark instead of cash cow. So instead of becoming a question mark, one have to maintain the stance or improve. So here is that the investment has to keep growing, because that market surely has competitors. That market surely has competitors. So the market has to keep growing. They have to expand the production capacity. Production capacity have to expand. One must not maintain or remain on a particular status. The production capacity have to expand. They have to strengthen the supply chain, because that is part of Star, to maintain that high investment and high market share. For the market share not to drop and one becomes a question mark. So one have to strengthen its operation with supply chains, even the employees. So they have to ensure that they have stable employees, that they don't change all the time, and they have to maintain that. And most importantly, maintain the quality and the brand of that product. Product quality is number one in marketing. Product quality is number one. So one have to maintain the quality of that product, and one have to maintain the brand awareness, the brand loyalty, the brand equity have to increase. So branding is important in Star. Quality is also important in Star. So any product that belongs to Star, quality is one of the priority. Brand is also another priority, alongside strengthening the supply chain, expanding capacity, improving the investment, and others. So for question mark, it's similar to what I said for Star. It's similar to what I said for Star. So for question mark now, what one can do in question mark, for question mark, it's most times question mark can be like a new product that is being introduced. It can be like maybe an herbal plant or medicinal plant that is being introduced that will improve the product combination that they are producing in that country. So it's like a new product that that company introduced and want to sell it to that particular market. So it's just that the growth is high, but the market share is low. But it can be like when digitalized age, it can be like an AI tool. So it requires a whole lot of investment. It can be like a technological tool that one introduced for agri-tech businesses or startup and the rest. Or it can be large-scale companies for them to use. Or it can be like a feed, a new feed that I know that when it's being used is an organic feed, although it can be quite expensive, but you know that this feed will actually, change the life of the animals or or the crops will actually improve what they call it. It will actually contribute to the quality of the product that they are doing at the rest. So those are like examples of question mark products that enter question mark. And you know what to do. One just have to keep improving in the marketing and distribution. Marketing is quite key. Improving in marketing and distribution, but question mark requires heavy research. Question mark requires every market research. One don't enter question mark just like that because this kind of categories falls under new products, innovative products, a new product line. We introduce a new product line. New product line can easily move, but it cannot be compared to the original product that is doing well. It cannot be compared to original product that is doing well. A new product line, or it can even be an entire new product, but it's still from the same company. So something innovative and the rest, because something that is existing, it can be maybe because of the high market, that is the saturated market and the rest. So one have to for you to experience high growth and low market share. So that means that a lot of innovative product and one is striving to enter that market. But one have to analyze that market, engage in market share. One have to engage in market share before investing or before going into that particular country to say you want to, try it out, try the market and see how to penetrate into the market. One have to engage in what we call investment. And if possible, as we looked at various entry strategy, one can go into partnership or venture, mostly partnership. One can engage in partnership so that it won't be a lose-lose, but it will be a win-win situation. It won't be a lose-lose or win-win situation. So that is where the right entry market strategies comes in this question mark. And yeah, that is where the right entry market strategy comes in this format. But so for dog, that means they're experiencing a decline. The market is experiencing a decline. People are not demanding for the product as expected, but they are still hoping that the demand will increase. It can be due to changes in government policies, changes in demand, or changes in technology that make people to do things in another way. There can be one or two issues, and the organization might not be conscious of that. Not be conscious. All what they know is that they are still demanding for the product, but they don't know that changes have taken place, or the market is quite niche, and it's just a few that are using that product in that market. There'll just be a few. So most times one can try to reduce investment, because dog is not a place where one will have to increase investment. One will not have to increase investment. So one just have to reduce investment, then be strategic. There are some companies that they want to still maintain that position, that market share. Let them keep servicing those companies. So one just have to manage it strategically, meaning that you are not investing too much into that aspect. You're not investing too much, but you're also servicing only your customers that you have over there. So one just has to be careful, because you are using the investment from star and cash cow to manage dog. So that is the situation for dog. Okay, so having said that, there is an image I want us to look at. So this is a company's analysis. So all these ones are like products in the market. And this is another. So I want us to, I know we already know all these things, but I want to hear your analysis what it means having these four in cash cow. What is the implication? When you have four products in cash cow, what is the implication for a company to decide that? Why do you think companies tend to have four products in a particular market, a particular country, and they're not putting them in star? They're not looking for a market that can fall under a star market, or a market that can be a question mark for a dog, or they feel that market is of high demand in that product is of high demand in the market. So let me hear your proper analysis. But this is part of engaging in research analysis before you make a final decision. So now the next thing, so why do you think we have this here? Let's hear another analysis from your end. So I don't know who is going to open the floor to explain properly what this is all about. So if you are giving this, how would you analyze this information? So anybody who want to open the floor, who want to explain the first one or the second one, even though you understand second one better. Hello, can anybody hear me? Or hope I'm not be speaking to myself. So, Mrs. Doyne, would you want to open the floor? Mr. Wilfred. Do we understand the question?
Good evening, ma. Not really, ma. Are you saying that we should explain the diagram
Yes,
according
explain the
to how you okay.
like
Um
why we ask for explain what you can just in your own way. Why do we have four in this diagram? Do you think is a good implication for a company or not? What do you think is implication?
okay. Uh but I need some clarifications, ma, before I go ahead. I want to
Okay,
ask that this four, is it from a particular company or
a
they are
particular
different
company,
companies?
a particular company.
Okay. So, according to that explanation, ma, good evening, ma, and good evening, everyone. According to the explanation you gave us, you said that that cash cow, it's a very good, like a fertile land. It's a green land because we don't have competitors. So, for this company has like a monopoly of that investment or that
Okay.
sector. Yes, that market share. They have a larger market share, and they don't. According to that explanation, they don't even have to invest. They have enough money, more than what they need to use to invest or what they need to use to even market the products. They have enough cash coming from this cash cow. They have enough cash in that market segment. So it's a good place for them, and they can still keep growing and keep making everything work for them because already they have a good market share. Let's say, for example, now, we can say that they have like I don't know, but let me just use a particular percentage because I don't know the total whether they are the only okay from the diagram. I think they are the only ones in that market segment. So they have the monopoly of the business and they can always have enough cash coming in for them, and they don't have to do much to invest. They don't have to do much to advertise because they are the mostly known in the market. I think that's the little, like they have like 50% share. And since they have the like 50% share, they have more access to cash, more access to inflows, cash inflows. Thank you, Ma. I don't know if I tried.
And you actually tried because although I want to hear from others, having four, what the company did was that all their four different products are cash cow in a particular market, and they left it there to enjoy the investment. But don't forget there's an arrow saying that the arrow can enter dog. Don't forget there's an arrow showing that the
That's
arrow
true, Ma.
the arrow was moving towards the dog.
Yes, that's scary actually, because while you were explaining to us, the second step you explained was stars after that question mark, and dogs was the last phase.
Mm.
So entering into dogs can be risky for such a market.
So meaning that the investment, the cash, the market share is high. The market share which is high can later become low. So meaning that lots of competitors can come in and take over because naturally the growth is low. So what that the indication here is saying that if one is not careful, that a one's product that market can be highly saturated if one is not careful. If one is not careful, that market can be highly saturated. So I want to hear the view of others before I just say one or two things to this. So let's hear from others based on what Mrs. Doyin has said. She has opened the platform. Who can improve? Who will want to contribute? Let's hear from you what you want to say about this analysis diagram.
Hello, good evening, ma.
Good evening, Ma.
Good evening, class. The- well, from my little understanding of this, I can say that I want to look at it from the perspective of the market where the product is operating. For example, if we're considering the income level of those that are patronizing the market, if we have middle class and the higher class, and the market seems to be thriving in the low income area where people cannot really afford high quality product at that time. So if the majority of the customers of that product are low income and it is those low income that saturates in that market. If a competitor that is able to subsidize the price of the product enter the market, it can easily push the product into the dog area, meaning that the competitor can use price as a strategy to send this product out of the market, or they can rebrand. A competitor that is able to rebrand same product in a different way, in a cheaper way, can easily push this product out there. Then that is one angle I'm looking at it. From also the way you explain cash cow, it required minimal investments. Maybe they were not able to upgrade to stars or question mark level because they do not have that capacity to be able to do so. And if they do not have capacity to be able to upgrade it to that level, it also means that any risk can easily wipe the product out because they might not be able to strategically um, be able to mitigate impact of any risk, which might also put the product down into the dog quadrant. So those are the two things that I am thinking about. I don't know if it applies to the explanation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You said it from a whole new perspective. Thank you very much for that. Although your cash cow, they have the capacity to invest. They have the capacity to invest, but it's just that they don't need to put too much effort before people recognize the product and buy that particular product. But one might feel too relaxed. Let me just contribute to what you said. One might feel too relaxed if they're not careful in improving the product, engaging innovative, or engaging in new product development, putting one or two innovative features to the product. If one is not engaging in that continuous development of the product, a new company can disrupt. Last class, I talked about disruption and I talked about strategic innovation and radical. So one can disrupt the market and change the way things are in that market. So cash cow also requires careful monitoring. Cash cow requires careful monitoring. If not, it can enter dog instead of star. Cash cow, it can enter dog if one is not careful. So that is what this diagram is saying. So let's say from another person, let's see if there's a new perspective you want to use to analyze the first diagram. Okay, so although we just have 10 minutes, but I'm going to rephrase this into an assignment so that we can do a proper analysis. So let me just speak to the first diagram, then I will give us the proper assignment so that we can do an analysis of it. But information is quite limited with what I've given you. But for this first diagram, if I'm the one, if aside, although we've all spoken well, but I'll also ensure that I have my products. If I also ensure that not I have my product, I identify a market that belongs to Star so that I will not just rely on cash cow, because sometimes relying on cash cow, the way one can crash can be quite painful. Can be quite painful. So there's something called I'm not using the word diversification, but there's something called, should I use the word spreading or engaging in no, not diverse. You're spreading one's eggs, you are diversifying, you are moving to other sectors, or not sectors, markets. You are going to other markets. You are not just relying on one particular market. So you are trying to tap into another market. So you already know that you are able to successfully tap into market A, and market A eventually became a cash cow. And market B can also be a cash cow. Never could tell. You can enter another country. That's what I mean. You can enter another country. Unfortunately, it's also a cash cow. Good for that company. You can enter another country with the same product and became a star. Good for that country. Then you now entered country 4. And fortunately, it became question mark. So that company has enough resources to keep pushing, because question mark requires investment. But I also leave my 4 products in cash cow. I also leave the 4 in cash cow. So it's better when one's able to spread the product. So if you notice, country A, B, and C are cash cow, that is good. As in that company is as in entered, what is this word? The lottery. That company does gain lottery. That country A, country B, country C became cash cow to them. You get, so one should not just rely on a country, but also move to other countries to and identify the country, whether that country belongs to a cash cow or star. So along the way, while doing your market research, you'll be able to know whether this country requires high investment to penetrate and whether it also produces high yield. or is high investment with low yield, but that low yield can later become an investment. And for you to enter that country, you have to think of where the resources to support that particular country investing successfully in that market. So in as much as 4 of my products, that means I have 4 products, the 4 products are all cash cow, then I'll need to, diversify. I'll need to enter another market and see how your product will perform in another market. So that is it, because what these are going to say that if one is not careful, your product can become a dog. So you can see that the 2 arrows are a bit far behind, so they're doing well. But another one is getting close to the line. So new companies or new competitors are actually taking over to the extent that is pushing that product out of that market to the extent that it becomes a dog. And one will have no choice than to take that product totally out from that market. So that is the implication for dog. So we'll stop here. I don't know if you have 1 or 2 questions. We'll stop here. So I believe you understand the analysis of the first diagram, because the most important thing is that understanding BCG matrix is also part of the kind of decisions you make if one wants to enter a country. It's part of your market entry strategy. We need to understand certain business strategic tools, and BCG matrix is one of it. BCG matrix is one of it. When we go into exporting, I think if you exporting, we'll talk about product life cycle. So it's because of market entry strategy that I have to introduce this. So talk about product life cycle. And in this product life cycle, there are some products that when introduced to the market, it was at the introductory stage. A competitor came and introduced another product and made that product that was at the introductory stage to enter decline straight. So a product might not even experience growth and maturity, it enter decline straight. It is possible, and it's not even possible, it happens in market, that the product that just came in just died immediately. Now that product died, or the company died. That means they bought over the product, they bought over the company, they did not want that product to survive. If not, it will become an issue in that market. So that is where big giants swallow small companies comes in. And a highly innovative company took over with that product idea, and everybody rushed to that new product idea and left the company alone. So that is one of the implications of that. So it's important when one wants to enter a new market. So we'll try to look at that in the next class. We'll try to look at environmental monitoring, but I'll give us the full information of this diagram so that we can take our time, do analysis of it. Let's see. Right, it's just ability to justify your position. That is the ability to justify your position. So I'll give us the proper information on how to go about this. Then I have a question to ask before we call it class. Okay, yes, it's doing.
Okay. I just want to seek a clarification. While you were explaining that dog, you said that if the opportunity cost of maintaining the dog market is very high, it's better to divest or disinvest,
Yes.
like selling to another company or another market. Now, I want to ask that, is it selling to a new market or another market that sells that kind of products too? Because if it is selling to a new market, maybe a new company coming into the market, then the this thing continues now. The trend continues like that. If they too are not able to manage the market, but if they are selling to another company that has similar product, then it will help increase the market share of that company that one is selling to. Then it will be a better a better opportunity for the receiving market. So I just want you to clarify, Manda, is it selling to a new entrant or an existing one that has a market share already? So selling to them will increase their own market share, which is good for them. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that question. So first of all, it depends on the situation, but most times it's going to be an existing market and an existing company. A new has the capacity. I've realized that there are some companies that must have realized that this particular company is about to die, like they're not doing well as expected. So a new company that has that resources can buy over if they sense the company wants to move from that market because they are not getting the expected cash. They're not getting the expected cash, or they've been spending too much and they are getting little yield. So a new company that has that resources and they want to try their best to try in that market can buy it, or it can be another company, a giant company like them that wants to continue in that same market can buy that particular company over. So, or that is if they want to sell it. So that divested means that they are no longer in that market again. So they are not selling their brand name. They're not selling, it's just that they are to start over. So it depends. It can either be a new company or an existing company. If the new company has that capability, then good for them. I don't know if I was able to answer your question right.
Thank you, ma. Yes, ma. Yes, ma. Thank you, ma. Yes.
So do we have any question? So I've not sent the lecture notes.
Hello.
Apologies.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
I can hear you.
Okay, I have a question to ask. This PCG, we have a cash cow, we have star and question mark and decline. How do we relate them to the product life cycle? Well, in the product life cycle, we have introduction or takeoff, growth, peak, and decline. How do we relate each of them to the stages of product life cycle?
Okay, yes, I think I just mentioned it that there's a part in the slide that talks about product life cycle. So I'll try to touch it. I'll also it is part of that slide. I'll check those. Part of the week when I'm meant to talk about the strategic tools, which involves BCG and product lifecycle. But because we also need to understand it where market entry is concerned, so that's how we introduce it at this point. So we'll talk about it again when we look at product lifecycle. There's a part that we're going to talk product lifecycle.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe at the
Thank you.
introductory stage.
Thank you. Okay.
But sorry, we'll talk about it again when we get to pro life cycle. We'll talk about it again when we get that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I will share the slide now. As soon as we end, I'll share the slide for everyone to have access to. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed today's class. Have a great, great evening. So next week, lest I forget, next is convocation activities. That is our next week. So the class won't hold this week. I'll communicate coordinator. The class won't hold next week because convocation, and it's going to be like a lengthy activity. So please kindly communicate. I'll send it to the group platform since we already have a platform. So everyone will take notes of that. So thank you very much and have a great, great evening.
Thank you, ma. You too, ma.